Wasabi wallet. I'm fairly private.
Hodl that Bitcoin.
What's up, everyone? Ben with the BTC Sessions here. I am currently on vacation with my lovely wife and my lovely child. I am stepping away from everything, but I did take the time to pre-record a number of videos, some fun interviews for while I'm away, so I don't leave you guys hanging. If I could please enlist your help while I'm away. Obviously, I'm not going to be on social media, so if you could please share these videos all over your social media, it'll help get viewership so it doesn't fall off a cliff while I'm away. It's always appreciated to get new people watching, liking, and subscribing. So please, if you get the chance, do that. Now, who do we have today? We've got actually a friend of mine. His name is Adam O'Brien. He's based here in Alberta, actually in Edmonton, and he does indeed own a Bitcoin business. He got me my first Bitcoin-related job. He owns Bitcoin Solutions. They have ATMs. I won't dive too far into it because he's going to explain it in a minute. But what's he doing? Well, he has a contest, a Bitcoin contest where you can win his house for as little as $10. Sounds crazy. He's going to explain all about it. You can check it out. But I do hope you enjoy the interview. It's a pretty ballsy way to sell a house, I've got to say. Maybe I should consider it when I sell my house next year. Anyways, if you want to help out the show, before we dive into the interview, you can do a few things. You can check out any of the sponsors or friends that I'm working with. Of course, there's LEDN.io. They have Bitcoin financial services. So what does that mean? You can get a Bitcoin-backed loan, so a Canadian or US dollar loan using your Bitcoin as collateral. You can use a Bitcoin savings account and earn interest on your Bitcoin paid in Bitcoin. And they just launched a new service called B2X, and that's where you can gain basically double exposure to Bitcoin. So for every dollar worth of Bitcoin you deposit, you get an auto loan worth the equivalent amount of Bitcoin. So essentially 2-for-1 Bitcoin, and you can double your exposure. So if you're a perma bull, like I know a lot of you are, be sure to check that out. Link down below. Secondly, NordVPN. Privacy is important. This masks your IP address, it encrypts your browsing data, and has a whole bunch of other great features. If you want to check them out, there's a link down below for that service, $3 a month. And outside of that, CoinJoin, my friends, Wasabi wallet. It is important. It helps obfuscate the history of your coins. I use it regularly. If you want to check them out, link down below. I will stop rambling. I hope you guys enjoy the interview, and I will see you guys for the next one. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the BTC Sessions. I am here with a special guest, actually a good friend of mine. We go way back. This is Adam O'Brien. Welcome. Good, sir. How are you?
Thank you very much. I'm well. How are you?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. So I guess for those watching that aren't familiar with who Adam is, he gave me my first Bitcoin job ever. So that was what, like
Back in the good old days.
When was that? 2020, late 20, maybe beginning of 2015.
14. Yeah, 14, 15, somewhere around there.
So somewhere in there, and so I was running around helping you with like Bitcoin ATM maintenance and clearing and all that kind of stuff, restocking and yeah, it was a good gig. You helped me stack some sats back in the day.
That's right. That was lots of sats back in the day.
It was.
I think at like $300 or $400 Bitcoin, it was it was pretty good.
Yeah, I kept stacking, and it was a fun side gig for me. But I do appreciate those early days of being able to do anything in the space, and you gave me a shot, and that was nice. And so I guess before we dive into what the video is about, why don't you give people some context of kind of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Adam O'Brien, and I started Bitcoin Solutions. So we are a nationwide, so across Canada, we have Bitcoin ATMs, and we buy and sell Bitcoin through those ATMs, and then also, of course, online is kind of the obvious next step as well. So on top of that, we've kind of started developing software and making Bitcoin accessible and understood. So from day one, we've always kind of wanted to make Bitcoin, easily available. And then now we also want to make it usable so that, you can walk in and buy a coffee, or you can, maybe buy a car or what have you, with, using our software that enables merchants to accept Bitcoin with as little friction and as much control as possible.
Awesome. That's great. And so Bitcoin Solutions started when? When did you
So our first, like the corporation was founded in 2013, and we had our first kind of transactions in 2013, and that was basically me on Kijiji running around Edmonton and Calgary, purchasing coins and then flipping them. We launched the first ATM in Alberta on February 20 something, I believe, or somewhere in February in 2014. Shortly thereafter, we did the first one in Saskatchewan in May of 2014, and from there now we have 40 across Canada, and we have a pretty aggressive expansion plan, and there's actually 10 more ATMs in the office right beside me here, and we're getting those out this quarter. So yeah, we're just kind of excited to be able to provide liquidity, instant and non-custodial liquidity in the Canadian market. Sure.
Okay, so we now have some context as to who you are, what you do, why you're into the Bitcoin space and everything. But that's not the focus of this chat. It's actually a chat about what you're doing with your house. So you were looking to sell your house, and like any Bitcoiner, you're not going to do it a regular way. So I remember you bouncing this idea off me, talking about it, and then you're going ahead and doing it. So maybe you can tell people the name of the project and kind of what it is.
Yeah, so the website and the name of the project is the Lilac Contest. So at lilachouse.win is the URL, and we're essentially looking to, I've been kind of thinking about ways to easily describe this, and essentially it's a crowd-funded sale where we're looking to sell 50,000 entries at $10 a piece, and then one person gets an entire house free and clear, no mortgage, no strings attached, for as little as $10. So each entry is $10, and then coupled with that entry is using Bitcoin. So you're going to be predicting the price of Bitcoin on January 3rd, and the closest person to that price, here's my house, here's 15 grand in cash, and enjoy. You do with it what you will. You want to sell it, you want to rent it, you want to live in it, you want to burn it. I'm not for that, but it's your house. You do what you do. So yeah, it's definitely been a lot of work and a lot of, lots of loopholes to kind of get through legally, and like for taxes, obviously, the accountants and lawyers. I got a nice big accounting and law bill, but yeah, it's come to fruition, and we're live. Entries are coming in, and somebody's going to win this house for $10. So I'm pretty stoked on that.
Damn. Okay. So I've seen it's been a little bit on the news here locally. I've heard you were on the radio, I think just this morning, right?
Yeah. On a local station here in Edmonton. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And so you're starting to do the rounds there. So $10 per entry. With each entry, do you get to guess the price of Bitcoin again? On January?
Yeah, so it's predict, because there's legally it's a prediction contest, and so yeah, each time you enter, so if you spend $10, you get one prediction. If you spend $100, you get 10 predictions. 1,000's 100, etc. We have some promos where if you buy 10 entries, you get one extra prediction for free. So essentially, you get 11 predictions kind of to enter. But yeah, so it's predicted down to the cent. And once you are entered, that prediction that you have is no longer on the market. So if you want exactly $10,000, you're the only person, assuming it's available, that can predict that. And it's the person that predicts the price bang on, or if no one does, closest to. And over or under doesn't matter unless it's a tie, in which case the person below the actual price is the tiebreaker. So an example of that would be, let's say the price is exactly $10,000. We have, 99.90 on one side and then 10.10 on the other side. 99.90 would win the contest in that scenario. However, if we have 99.80 and 10.10, then 10.10 is the winner, because they were closer in that sense.
So basically, closest, and if a tie, then it's Price is Right rules.
Exactly. And it's funny, I love that Price is Right has become that, that's like the rules, because you're like the fifth person that's essentially verbalized it that way, which is amazing.
That's awesome. Perfect. That's why it's the best way to describe it, I think.
Yeah,
so
100%.
So what I wanted to dive into a little bit, like we were alluding to, it wasn't simple. It's not simple to just do this, right? Like it's not like you could just be like, I'm having a contest and that's it. So what goes into trying to do this? I imagine you went to a lawyer and they were like, you're doing what?
Yeah, actually, we went to 4 lawyers, and they were like, "See you later, kid. No thanks." So finally, we found one that was, could see kind of the light at the end of the tunnel, saw the work that I previously put in. I'd thought through, most of the logistic scenarios, and I needed them to think of the legal scenarios. So basically, the structure of the whole thing is we have a corporation that currently has a pending agreement with me personally to buy the house, with one of the conditions being a successful completion of the contest. So once the contest is complete, that purchase agreement is executed, and the transfer of ownership of the house goes from me to the company, and then the company transfers ownership from the company to the person. So the way that happens is the contest is deemed successful on November 30th, where we either do or we don't have our floor of 50,000 entries. So that kind of gives us a month and 3 days to get the house through escrow, out of my name and into the company name. All those bills are paid up. The mortgage is then paid off. Everything is all done. The house is then free and clear, sitting in the company's name. And then on January 3rd, when we know, what the price is and who the closest predictor was, the house transfers, we get it going that day essentially. So that is, and then they get the $15,000, and they can either, $15,000 is roughly what it would cost to sell the house with a realtor and legal fees. So if they want to sell it, they can use it, or they can furnish the house or whatever they want to do with it. And then there's of course a second place prize, which is 10 grand in cash, and a third place prize, which is 2 grand in cash. So all the prizes get paid out on the 3rd of January, or, starting to get paid on the 3rd of January. And the contest officially is closed or extended on November 30th.
Wow. Okay. So you were talking about limits. So you need to have 50,000 entries for it to go ahead.
Right.
So what happens in the event that is not reached? So a bunch of people, they opt in, they give their guesses, they drop, $10, $100, a few $100, and then that's not reached. What's the protocol once that is not reached?
So on November 30th, if we don't have enough entries, we extend it by 3 months. And then people that have already predicted are given the option to keep their prediction or repredict. And then if at that point it doesn't happen, we have a second extension, same parameters. And then if after 3 we can't get this thing going, then we got to go back to the drawing board and figure something out. Maybe we need a different marketing strategy or or something. But essentially, then at that point, refunds are issued at Bitcoin Solutions. Basically, the team will be pulled off of ops, and it's going to be all hands on deck issuing refunds as fast as possible. And that's very important to me. I'm attaching my personal name and my business that I've spent the better part of 7 years growing for a reason, right? This is extremely legit, and I want people to trust it. And so it's very, very important to me that people get paid back like ASAP if it turns out we can't run the contest in that way. But of course, I'm optimistic, and I'm really hoping that people can kind of, you win a house for $10, that's pretty sweet. The odds are, you kind of set your odds, and the best part is it's not really, there's some skill involved, right? If you can kind of see what Bitcoin has done, and you can, of course, in that micro kind of down to the cent, there's of course going to be some, level of insecurity, but at the end of the day, predicting the price of Bitcoin is definitely not an easy task. So whoever does it, they deserve a house, in my opinion. And I'm looking forward to, hopefully they get it.
Roll the dice a little bit. I guess, in the grand scheme of things, $10, the potential payoff. And I'm trying to think in comparison to buying a lottery ticket, I'm odds wise, at the 50,000 entry floor, not bad odds.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. And $10, I don't know about you, but my inner white girl has been out this October with the pumpkin spice lattes at $5.50 a piece. So when you think about, as a society, what we spend money on, and all I get out of that is a a stomach ache and a bit of extra weight, if I could get an asset that I could sell in some cash, that's kind of what we wanted to make this as little barrier to entry as possible. And on the flip side, bringing in the price prediction standpoint, this is extremely, fair. Like there's no subjectivity in this. We've seen a couple times, like write an essay or like send a picture of your dog or whatever, and the cutest dog wins, but that's wildly subjective. And there's manipulation that could be happening. The price is set. We have a transparent ticker on our page using an average of 3 different exchanges. It's very, very clear and laid out. And that's the price that we're using. So if one exchange goes down, this is what happens. Like all of that is transparent and written. There's no way that this could be corrupt by one malicious party. It's transparent. And, kind of playing off of what Bitcoin is to me anyways, Bitcoin is transparent and it's trustless. And this contest to an extent is trustless.
So, okay, now I have a question in regards to, to pull back to the refund idea and everything. Now, the entries are based on the dollar amount of Bitcoin. Like you're basically $10 worth of Bitcoin to enter the contest, correct?
Yeah, you can pay in Bitcoin, or you can pay like PayPal or e-transfer, send as a check or whatever. Yeah.
Okay,
but you can pay in Bitcoin.
Okay, so let's say I made an entry and I paid with Bitcoin, and then if the contest, the extensions happen and the contest end up not going through, do I get knowing I paid in Bitcoin, do I get back the amount of Bitcoin that I sent? Do I get back the dollar amount? How does that work?
You get back the dollar amount, and the reason for that is we're not taking risk on the fluctuation. So when you send us $10 or $100 or $200 worth of Bitcoin, that actually is sold and then converted into cash and put into our bank. So the reason we wanted to do that is because like the 50,000 entries, $500,000. That pays for the house, which is tax assessed at $403,000, pays for our legal fees, pays for our accounting fees, and pays for our marketing. So the 500 grand is spent essentially. Yeah. And so, of course I love the upside. I've been in Bitcoin for the better part of 7 years. Like I know there's significant upside, but because I've been in it so long, I know that if I take in, let's say we get $10,000 worth of Bitcoin entries and it drops to 3,000 equivalent, over $500,000, not the end of the world. But if we got $250,000 worth of Bitcoin entries and the price gets cut in half between now and January 3rd, like I'm in trouble. Like we got that money is dedicated already. So you'll get back fair market value. Like if you put in 2 entries, you'll get $20 back in Bitcoin on the refund date. Okay. It won't be your sats back.
Okay. All right. So basically if somebody wants to enter and is worried that, if they're super worried that their $10 of sats will have appreciated and they won't necessarily get that exact back, they can opt to pay in fiat and still be up for the reward of the house plus the 15 grand. But if you want to maintain sats value, pay in fiat. If you're not worried about the $10 worth of sats too much, then you can enter in Bitcoin, and that's fine.
Yeah, and actually we've enabled, you can dump shit coin or poop coins too. I'm not sure. Oh yeah,
it's fine. No, I don't give a shit.
When I was feeding my kid last night, I was watching your IRS, and I liked some of the. I was watching this video last night. You can pay in Litecoin, or I think we've enabled Bitcoin Cash too. And because we're just flipping it right away, that's all we developed for. So we, it didn't really matter. Like you can pay whatever you want. We're just flipping it into fiat.
I can more or less guarantee you that most people watching this are not going to have either of those things.
I hope not. And if you have some lying around, please spend them on my house contest.
Yeah, especially not the Bcash. Nobody's going to be holding on to that. If they were holding on to that and watching my show, they've long since either like blocked me or deleted or whatever.
Or just like unsubscribe. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. It's like the trolls that are thumbs downing before the video starts every night. Sorry, guys. but what are you going to do? Cool. So my question now, the simplest question of all is, where can people find the contest? And then secondly, where can people find you if they want to check out what you're up to as well?
Yeah, so from a contest point of view, lilachouse.win is the URL, or at lilachousewin on Twitter, facebook.com/lilachousewin, or you can email us lilachouse.win@gmail.com. So anywhere there, you'll likely be talking to me directly. But as entries kind of ramping up, just to get a bit of better response times and stuff, I am pulling some of the team members from Bitcoin Solutions to kind of just make sure that everything's moving smoothly. For me personally, you can find me on Twitter at HiAdamOB, just the letters OB, or on obviously BitcoinSolutions.ca is our company. You can see all of our ATMs and kind of what we're up to in the space. That's kind of all I have to really shill right now. Obviously, this contest is kind of a bigger project with a short kind of timeline. The closing date is in 7 weeks, so we're really hoping that entries start firing in, and we got a long way to go for entries as of today. But I'm confident. Like, I think this is a really cool project, and talk about disruption. Like, if this works, we've set it up in a way that's scalable. So if you had a house, or let's say you have a car you want to get rid of or whatever, we've set this up so that we have the framework now that we could essentially enlist any asset and sell it in this way. So if it works, it's funny, we've already had 3 people reach out to us privately and separately and say hey, if this works, I have a house, I want you to get rid of it as well. So it's resonating with some people. 50,000 is a big number. I was torn between, do we do maybe 1,000, $5,000 entries, or what's our magic number? But at the end of the day, I wanted as little barrier to entry as possible. You can spend $10 or you can spend $5,000 on entries. So best of both worlds, and off we go.
Awesome, man. Well, Adam, thank you very much for being on. Again, everybody that wants to check it out, lilachouse.win. I'll have all the links to everything mentioned down below. And thanks, man. I appreciate your time.
Thanks. Good to see you again, brother. And we'll chat soon.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.